Local officials in the besieged Ukrainian city of Mariupol said rescuers were combing the rubble of a theatre where women and children had been sheltering. Ukraine said Russian forces bombed it the previous day. The Ukrainian foreign minister shared before and after pictures of the theatre on his Twitter account, calling it a horrendous war crime. Commercial satellite pictures showed the Russian word for children written in large white letters on the pavement in front of the theatre before it was blown up. Russia denied striking the theatre, calling it a lie. A spokeswoman said Russian armed forces do not shell civilian infrastructure. The port city of Mariupol has been hardest hit, with hundreds of thousands of civilians trapped for weeks in basements without food, water or power. One hospital is overflowing with patients it was never meant to deal with. It is one of the few remaining structures serving as an emergency centre, a maternity ward and a morgue. The doctor said the underground floors were supposed to be a food store but are now used for dead bodies. He said the hospital was not taking any more bodies as it's already beyond capacity.
All the other hospitals were bombed and no one could collect the bodies. There's no emergency services, there's nobody. Relatives, I don't know where we will put them, how we will bury them.
A nurse said newborn babies were sleeping in cots covered by blankets to protect them from glass during shelling. The babies and their mothers were evacuated to the hospital after Russian troops bombed the maternity ward. Russia has begun letting some people out in private cars this week, but is blocking aid convoys from reaching the city. Some evacuees have now arrived in a village in the rebel-controlled Donetsk region.
We've been without light, without water, without heat, without anything. 2 weeks in the basement. Don't film my face, film my hands. These are the hands of a medical worker.
When asked about the bombed Mariupol theatre on ITV's Good Morning Britain, Foreign Minister James Cleverly said the attack appeared to be a breach of rules for armed conflict. He called for evidence to be documented of the assault to put together a war crime case. Foreign Secretary Liz Truss said there is very strong evidence that war crimes have been committed and that Vladimir Putin is behind them. It comes after US President Joe Biden called Putin a war criminal.
I think he is a war criminal.
The Kremlin said the comment was unforgivable. And the Defence Secretary announced during a visit to Warsaw that the UK will deploy its Sky Sabre missile systems and 100 troops to Poland as NATO moves to beef up the security of its eastern flank.
As a NATO ally and a very old ally, it's very right that Britain stands by Poland as Poland carries much of the burden of the consequence of this war and stands tall and brave to stand up to the threats from Russia.
A No. 10 spokesman said the system was being deployed after a request from the Polish government and will remain under the control of the British forces at all times. Eddie Aitken, NTD News.